Good morning. You unmute, please. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good. Tell me your name.
Miguel Lopez.
Miguel? Okay. I'm going to put you back in the waiting room and we'll get to you pretty quick.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello there with an iPhone. Can you unmute, please? You'll hit *6 on your, there you go. Can you tell me your name, please? You're muted. Hit *6 or can you see if there you are?
Can you hear me?
Yes. And
Okay.
what is your name?
Sergeant Mark Sterling with Moore County.
Mark Sterling. Spell
Yes,
your
ma'am.
last name for me.
Sterling.
Very good. All right. Good morning, ma'am, on the Samsung phone. You're trying to connect to audio and it's not working. Do you see a button there that you can that says audio?
Hey, Shelley.
Hey, Dan.
Looks
So,
like-
are y'all ready? What case are you ready on?
Kenneth Brooks.
Okey doke. I'm gonna put you back in the waiting room and, we'll be right with you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're muted.
Okay,
Are
so
you
just
ready?
you and me, so, yes.
Yes, yes,
We're
I'm not letting
starting-
anybody,
Are we starting with Brooks?
yes, that's who Dan has in his office.
Okay,
And the only other one I have, there's one that I have not yet, identified, but she's not responding, so
hold on,
I'll go ahead
Jackie.
and,
Oh, Erin had to run to the restroom. She'll be right back.
okay.
And I'm sorry, what were you saying about there's one more?
I just have one person that I have not identified. She's in the waiting room. She's not connecting to audio and she's on a phone. So I'll find out who that is
Okay,
when we get attorneys in. I'm not sure what case she's on. I'm going to take your video and mute you and try to get that one person in while we're waiting on her. Is that okay?
that sounds good.
Hello, ma'am. I'm Shelley. I'm the judge's court reporter. Can you tell me your name, please? Hello? Can you hear me? Ma'am, can you hear me? She can't hear me. I'm not sure what's going on there. I'll check with the DA and see if she's ready. If you're ready, Judge, I'll bring Dan and Aaron in. Is that okay? And can you unmute there? And then start your video.
All
There
right.
we are. Let me get Dan. Aaron.
Good morning.
Good morning. Can I ask one thing first before we get started? Dan, Aaron, I'm not sure who I have in the waiting room. It's a woman. She has like red framed glasses and she seems to be lying on a bed and she's on a Samsung SMS134DL. I'm just trying to figure out who this is so I can identify her.
Is that Elizabeth Watson?
I'm sorry,
Yeah, it might be.
It might be Elizabeth
Who?
Watson.
Elizabeth Watson.
She's
Yeah,
a
it could be.
defendant.
Is she ill?
She could be. I talked with her bondsman today and we've been having trouble trying to get in touch with her.
She called probation this morning saying she had a fever, but they told her she needed to log on anyway.
Okay, well, she is in the waiting room. I'm going to assume that is who she is. Yeah, we won't go there. Okay, so
Are we ready?
Yes.
yes, and after you go on the record, if you could ask Mr. Seeloff to identify everybody that's in the room with him for my record.
I will do that. Good morning, court. The 69th Judicial Court is in session. I'll call case numbers 5621 and 5832. Both are the state of Texas versus Kenneth Marshall Brooks. Is the state ready?
State's ready, Your Honor.
And is the defense ready?
Right, Your Honor.
And Mr. Seeloff, can you identify, please, everyone who's in the room with you?
Yes, Your Honor. This is Kenneth Brooks, directly in front of me. Ma'am, can you please state your name for the record?
Nelda Hardwick, Kenneth's mother.
Can you please state your name?
Colton Yoakum,
State your.
Do you need,
Colton Yoakum, his fiance.
well, Miss Hardwick and Mr. Yoakum, can you spell your names, please?
Nelda, Nelda, Hardwick, Hardwick.
Colton, Colton, Yoakum, Yokum.
All right, thank you. Mr. Brooks, are you the same Kenneth Marshall Brooks who on October 28th, 2019 pled guilty to the charges of possession of a prohibited substance or item in a correctional facility and also possession of a controlled substance in penalty group 1?
No.
And Mr. Brooks, do you recall that on October 28th, 2019, after pleading guilty, the court placed you on deferred adjudication and told you that it would not accept your plea, it would not make a finding of guilt at that time, but instead would place you on deferred adjudication in case number 5621 for 10 years and in case number 5832 for 5 years.
Yes.
Do you recall that? All right, Mr. Brooks, the state is alleging that you have violated the terms and conditions of your community supervision in both of those cases. The allegations are the same in each case. The state is alleging that on April 7th, 2022, you committed the offense of criminal trespass in Moore County. On October 5th, 2022, you committed the offense of falsification of drug test results in Moore County. On August 27th, 2022, you failed to abstain from the use of a controlled substance, specifically methamphetamine. On October 1st, 2022, that you failed to abstain from the use of a controlled substance, namely methamphetamine. That on October 1st, 2022, you failed to abstain from the use of a.
Uh-oh. Judge, you're froze. Wait. 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 Judge, you're froze. My computer just froze. I haven't heard anything you said.
There she is.
Is everybody there?
Yes.
My computer froze.
I couldn't see the
Well,
judge either.
You
I
couldn't?
can't now.
Uh,
I can see the judge.
Mr. Seeloff, have you been able to see and hear me this whole time?
Yes. Well, you were out for a little bit, but I see you now.
well, hang on. Okay. All right, we're streaming. Okay. Could you hear me when I'm trying to stop you, please? Could you hear me when I was trying to stop you?
No. What was the last thing that you recorded that I said?
That on October the 1st, 2022, you failed to abstain from the use of a,
All right. I'll continue from that point. Can you hear me okay?
yes.
All right, Mr. Brooks, again, and I hope you heard this, but the state is alleging that on October 1st, 2022, you failed to abstain from the use of a controlled substance, namely methamphetamine. Also, on October 1st, 2022, you failed to abstain from the use of a controlled substance, namely marijuana. The state is also alleging that during the months of August, September, October, November, and December of 2021, and February, March, April, May, June, and July of 2022, you failed to report to your probation officer. And finally, the state's alleging that you failed to make court-ordered payments to your probation officer or to the probation office during the months of January, February, July, August, September, October, November, and December of 2021, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December of 2022, and January or February of 2023. Mr. Brooks, how do you plead to these allegations, true or not true?
Some of them are true and some of them are false.
Let me go individually and ask you which ones are true. To the allegation that you committed the offense of criminal trespass in Moore County on April 7th, 2022, Do you plead true or not true?
Not true.
To the allegation,
Yeah.
beg your
Mr.
pardon?
Brooks, Mr.
Yes.
Brooks needs to speak up.
To the
Repeat that answer.
the offense of criminal trespass, not true.
To the allegation that you committed the offense of falsification of drug test results in Moore County, Texas on October 5th, 2022, do you plead true or not true?
Not true.
Did you say true?
Not true.
Not true. To the allegation that you failed to abstain from the use of methamphetamine on October 27th, 2022, what do you plead?
True.
To the allegation that you failed to abstain from the use of meth on October 1st, 2022, do you plead true or not true?
True.
To the allegation that you failed to abstain from the use of marijuana on October 1st, 2022, do you plead true or not true?
True.
To the allegation that you failed to report to your probation officer on August, September, October, November, and December of 2021, and February, March, April, May, June, and July of 2022, do you plead true or not true?
Not true.
And to the allegation that you failed to make court-ordered payments during the months of January, February, July, August, September, October, November, and December of 2021, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December of 2022, and January and February of 2023, do you plead true or not true?
That's true.
Ms. Anchondo, upon his plea of true to some of those allegations, do you have a plea agreement?
We do not, Judge.
All right, then please proceed with your motion to adjudicate on both cases.
Okay, Judge, I'll call Audrey Contreras.
May I go off the record for a second?
Yes.
Is there a reason we're doing this via Zoom?
No, not.
They're all set on Zoom for today, is what the docket says.
Okay. I'm letting her in.
And Judge, I'm not going to invoke the rule if my witness can remain in there for the bulk of the hearing or the remainder of the hearing after she testifies.
Any objections, Mr. Seeloff?
No.
Right, she may remain.
Audrey, can you unmute yourself, please? Thank you. Audrey, I need to swear you as a witness. Are you on a phone or there you are? Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this cause to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I'm sorry? I can't hear you, Audrey.
Yes, can you hear me?
Can you turn it up a little more?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Please proceed, Ms. Anchondo.
Can you state your full name, please?
Audrey Contreras
And how are you employed?
with the 69th Judicial District Community Supervision and Corrections Department.
Okay, Ms. Contreras, I just want to let you know what he is pleaded not true to. One is for the offense of criminal trespass, and then also the falsification of drug tests that we alleged in the motion. He did plead true to C, D, and E, and then also G, just to get you up to speed.
Thank you.
All right, so were you responsible for supervising Kenneth Marshall Brooks?
Yes.
And in that capacity as a probation officer, are you a custodian of records?
Yes.
Have you been previously determined to be a custodian of records?
Yes.
And your chronos and financial statements have been previously admitted in other cases, is that right? On other probationers?
Yes.
Okay. And did you give to my office, and we also provided to the defense, the chronos and financials for Kenneth Marshall Brooks?
Yes.
Judge, I want to offer into evidence the state's exhibit 1 and 2, the financials in Mr. Brooks's cases, and I ask that they be admitted in both cases.
Any objection, Mr. Seeloff?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Anchondo, could you have someone from your office run those down to me?
Yes, I do have the hard copies of making sure I've got both here.
So that states 1 and 2 in both cases.
Correct. Yes.
States exhibits 1 and 2 are admitted in case number 5832 and 5621.
And then Ms. Contreras, I know this is going to be out of order, but I'm also going to show you what's been marked as 3 and 4. The admissions of use that were signed by Mr. Brooks on September 2nd of 2022 and October 5th of 2022. I'm just going to hold it up to the camera because I don't know that I'm going to be able to do the share screen.
Okay.
It's also provided. That's 3 and 4.
Yes.
Okay, and did you witness those signatures as well?
Yes.
Okay, I want to offer into evidence states exhibit 3 and 4, also those 2 admissions of use.
Any objections, Mr. Seeloff?
No, Your Honor.
States exhibits 3 and 4 are admitted in both case 5621 and case 5832.
All right, and Brandon's running these down now. The financials weren't, I don't have those tagged. If you can print off those when you get a second.
What number do you put on?
Huh? 2, yes. Okay, Ms. Contreras, going through the chronos from the beginning, was Mr. Brooks offered treatment at Safe P right off the bat?
No,
Okay, when was he placed on probation?
it was placed on probation. Oh, hold on.
October 28th of 2019, does that sound correct?
Mm-hmm. 2018, 10/18, 2018.
On 5832, October 28th of 2019.
There was a continuation order done September 30th of 2019.
Okay, and would that have been in, we've got 2 cause numbers here. I don't want to get us confused. The order of deferred in both causes, there's one from October 18th of 2018. Does that sound right?
Yes, and then one is from 2019.
Okay. And in the one in, let's start with the one for 5832, October 28th of 2019.
He began his probation.
Okay. And in that one, was he offered to go to Safe P in both causes in that case?
No, I only reflected on 5621 for safety.
Okay, that was in October of 2019, right?
Yes.
So you go do a jail visit with him. This would have been this because he was still in jail when he was placed on probation.
Yes.
Okay. And let me make sure that my number matches up with yours. I'm on my sheet, it shows page 25. Is that what yours says at the bottom? And the entry was a jail visit, October 28th, 2019.
Yes, I do see that.
Okay, great. All right, so we'll start from there and then work our way to the present day. So he was already on probation for another case when
Correct.
he was placed on probation for this case. Is that fair?
Yes,
And prior to that, obviously, was he having issues with his other probation?
yes.
Okay, and what was that?
Not reporting and not paying.
And then he picked up this case while he was on probation for that other case, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And the chronos that I'm going through are for the more recent case. I hope this doesn't confuse you. 5832.
okay,
All right. So he was already having issues, and that's why he was offered safe P right after he was put on probation for the second case.
yes.
Okay, great. All right. And so as far as safe P, did he successfully complete the program in the safe P facility?
Yes,
Okay, and then was he transferred to aftercare?
yes,
Okay, while he was doing the safe P and aftercare treatment, I'm on page 24 now. Did he stop taking medication for his depression, bipolar, and anxiety? I'm looking at April 7th.
yes. There was a TTM conducted because he was not taking his medication.
Okay. And had he also complained even before he got to safe P about the treatment that he was receiving in the Moore County Jail?
Yes,
All right. Was it unusual for Mr. Brooks to kind of do things the way that he wanted to do them while he was on probation?
yes,
So he would would he have an excuse for why things weren't getting done properly? Or he just decided that he was going to stop taking his medication, even though he was directed to do it?
I think he just stopped taking it and he knew he had to while he was in treatment.
Okay. And so he is transferred to aftercare after leaving safe P, which now we're on page, let me get there, I think 22.
It'd be easier and if you can give me the date, please.
Gotcha. Okay. Do you have page numbers on yours?
I do, but I print out the most recent one, like the recent
Gotcha.
page or something.
Okay. All right. So now I'm looking at December 9th of 2020, the one labeled telephone.
Okay,
Okay. So he there's calls you to report that he's out of treatment, correct?
yes,
And that he is doing his sober living in Odessa.
yes,
All right. Does he indicate to you that he wants to stay in Ector County?
yes, to continue the sobriety that he.
All right. Did both you and him agree that Moore County was probably going to be problematic for him if he came back?
Yes,
Did you express your concerns with him relapsing?
I did.
Okay. Does he do okay for a little bit?
He does, yes, he does. He reports and he would send payments when he could.
All right. Now we're going to July 12th of 2020. There's an email from Ector County.
Yes, about him being discharged from the aftercare program.
Yes. And what the reason was for his discharge.
He was not attending meetings and there was medical issues. And so he was discharged.
Okay. The medical issues in the email, do they indicate to you that two of those they have medical only or have proof of, but he's actually 15 behind?
Yes.
Okay, and so after somebody misses several meetings, are they just automatically discharged from the sober living or the aftercare facility?
So the aftercare component was part of the safety program, and he was discharged because he had missed so many meetings.
Okay, and then did he report to you excuses related to that?
Yes,
And was it the same excuses that he had medical, but he only provided proof in 2 situations?
yes.
Okay. Now we'll go to let's see, the progress report for October 14th of 2021.
Okay,
This is related to now he's being referred to New Day Counseling for intensive outpatient counseling. Do you see that in the comments?
yes, because he was no longer in the aftercare program.
Okay, and did he do that?
No,
Okay, and so that was another opportunity for him to get in compliance with what he was supposed to be doing.
yes,
All right, and did the excuses that he provided there was that there was COVID outbreak at the house he was at, or something along those lines?
yes, about COVID.
Okay. Then October 22nd of 2021, a telephone call with the defendant. Did he indicate that the sober living home he was at has closed and he was looking to transfer to another one?
Yes,
Okay, and is this where you again express your concern with him moving to Moore County?
yes,
All right. After he didn't have an established place to live, did Ector County reject him?
yes, because he had gone to a different city.
Okay, and which city did he go to?
So I have a chrono for 11/1/21. Telephone chrono.
I'm sorry. Audrey, please repeat
Yes.
that.
Sure. I have a chrono from 11/1/21, a telephone chrono, and he stated he was in Andrews, Texas.
Okay, and what was the status there?
He was still waiting on to get into a sober living home in the middle
Okay.
of December.
All right, and was that place Oxford House?
Yes,
Did he indicate to you that the bed that he had planned on had been taken and now they're full?
yes,
Okay. Does Ector County reject him again?
yes,
Okay, and that's indicated on November 16th of 2021.
yes,
All right, so again, a month later, Ector County says he doesn't have a place to live. We can't keep him.
yes, ma'am.
All right. Then do you get a call from him the next month? On December 2nd of 2021.
Yes,
All right, and that he's going to be staying in Andrews, Texas, after he had been staying at a shelter for a couple days in Midland.
yes,
All right, so is his case transferred to Andrews County?
yes.
Okay. How long do you remember him staying there?
Less than a month,
Okay,
or about a month.
okay, then go ahead.
You can finish.
And then January, does he indicate that he is moving back to Ector County?
Yes,
Okay, February 23rd, does he provide you with another address?
yes,
Okay, so he goes from Andrews County to Ector County at that point.
yes,
Okay, and then is his so is his case transferred from Andrews to Ector?
Yes.
Now I'm on March 7th of 2022,
Okay,
a telephone call from the defendant.
yes,
Does he say that he is being robbed and beaten up at the shelter, so he's moving back to Dumas?
correct.
Okay. And then April, so the next month, are you able to get a hold of him right away?
No,
Okay. At the end of April, does he finally call you back?
yes,
Okay. And does he indicate that he's in Andrews, Texas still,
yes,
but he is going to be moving back to Dumas the next month?
correct.
All right. Is his living situation where he's in limbo, causing problems with supervising him either in this county or out of county?
Yes,
All right. Then does he say that he is moving to Hutchinson County? To Borger?
yes, he does.
Okay, now I'm in July of
Mhm.
2022.
Yes,
Okay. And so with that transfer, does he ever report to Hutchinson County?
no,
Does he have an address that's be able to verify by Hutchinson County probation?
no, no,
Okay. So moving to August 31st of 2022, Hutchinson County now rejects his case back to Moore County.
yes,
All right. And August 31st, community supervision says, quote, could not get a hold of D, not living where he said he was, not answering his phone, was told he was staying out of county. Is that
Yes.
correct?
by Hutchinson County.
Okay. And so if they can't verify the address, is it normal for the supervising county to just reject the case?
Yes,
Okay. September 1. So the next day, do you tell him that he needs to report at 3 o'clock?
yes,
Okay, and he says he can't do it that day.
right,
All right. So then September 2nd, he reports for a face-to-face visit. Is that right?
yes,
Okay, and this is a lengthy entry here. Did you request a UA?
I did.
And was he not able to provide a urine sample at that time?
At the beginning, correct, he could not.
Okay, so then do you discuss what's going on with Hutchinson County with him?
Yes,
And do you indicate to him that Hutchinson County had done an address verification and they were told by an ex-boyfriend he no longer lived there,
correct,
and that he lives in Dumas with his mom?
yes,
Okay. And then do you kind of confront him about he's not on the lease where he's living with his boyfriend and his boyfriend's mother?
correct,
Do you request to have his boyfriend call you the next week?
I do.
Okay, and the boyfriend's name is Colton?
That's right.
All right, and that's Colton, is it Yoakum? Or do you know the last name of the
I don't
person?
know the last name.
All right. Do you ask him about the criminal trespass case?
Yes,
And that occurred April of 2022, correct?
correct.
Did he give you any indication about what happened in that case?
He stated in my notes that, so I told him he got the charge and he was supposed to be in Andrews County. And then he said he was in Moore County without permission. Defendant stated that was right. He had no permission. D stated his friend needed help and he came down to help him.
Okay, so he never let you know about the arrest in April,
No,
okay? And he also acknowledges that he was in Moore County without any sort of permission.
Yes.
Okay, and this is September now that you're talking to him about it.
Correct.
All right, so you tell him, look, you've not been supervised by a county for over 6 months.
Right.
So we don't know what he was doing in that period of time.
Correct.
All right. You also indicate to him he'd been on probation before and he's on probation for another case, and so he knows what the rules are, right?
Right.
Okay. Do we circle back to the UA at this time?
Yes.
Okay, and ultimately, did he admit that he had been using methamphetamine?
Yes.
And with the methamphetamine use, did he say that he had had an argument with his boyfriend and he swallowed a rock of meth?
Yes.
And that's one of the admissions of use that he signed.
Correct.
Okay. Do you go back into the importance of staying clean with him and all of that other stuff
Yes.
related to counseling him on his addiction?
Yes.
Okay. Do you confront him with, if there's no progress with him finding a job, staying clean and paying his fees, then a motion to revoke would be filed on him?
Yes.
Okay. And at this point, you schedule him for an administrative hearing in front of the judge for September 21st.
Yes.
All right. Let's go to September 21st at the court appearance for the administrative hearing.
Yes.
Okay. What happens at the hearing for noncompliance?
He was verbally warned by the judge about his compliance issues and substance issues and warned of further violations.
All right. And did he indicate where he had been living at that point?
He stated he was living with his parents and was primary caretaker for his dad, who has health conditions.
Okay. All right. Let's go to October 5th of 2022.
Okay.
Do you ask him about his community supervision or community service hours?
Yes.
And he did his hours at Pike Ford in Dumas?
Yes.
Was this an approved place?
No.
Okay, did he get permission to do that before he went and did the service hours?
No.
Do we even know what the service hours were at Pike Ford?
He stated something, if I recall, about cleaning outside the area of Pike Ford.
Okay, and Pike Ford is a private business, right?
Correct.
All right. At this point, do you request a UA?
Yes,
Okay, and did you notice anything suspicious about the color?
I did. In my notes, I stated the urine color was a highlighter yellow.
Okay, and did you confront him about taking something to cleanse his system?
Yes.
And what did he tell you?
Defendant admitted to using meth and marijuana and taking a detox drink to cleanse his system.
Okay, and then did he sign an admission of use and sign an admission to falsifying a drug test?
Yes.
And is that what we previously admitted as an exhibit?
Yes.
All right. Okay, looking at the motion, did he also fail to report to the 69th Probation Department August 21st, September 21st? I'm sorry, August, September, October, November, December of 2021?
Yes.
And then also February, March, April, May, June, and July of 2022?
Yes.
Okay. And we were previously set for court March 8th, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, that was when he was supposed to have his first hearing related to his probation revocation.
Yes.
Okay, and then did you receive at some point a letter or an email from Mr. Brooks's attorney related to a facility that he was admitted into?
Yes.
Okay, and so was he, and this was after the hearing date on March 8th, but before obviously this date.
Correct.
All right. Had Mr. Brooks indicated to you or been, in compliance or forthcoming really since he had the compliance hearing with the judge?
No.
So this falsification of drug tests and the continued positives were still occurring after he had the compliance hearing. Is that correct?
Yes.
Judge, I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Seeloff, do you have questions?
Hey, Your Honor. Ms. Contreras, in 2019, he went to Safe P, correct?
Yes.
And he successfully completed Safe P, correct?
Right.
Shortly after, he went to Odessa at the halfway house, correct?
Yes.
And he eventually became one of the leaders at the halfway house, right?
I don't recall.
Well, in your notes,
Do you have a date?
yes, I'm gonna find it right now. For 2021.
Okay.
It says in here in one of your notes, he is over the house he lives in, which shows a lot of responsibility.
Okay.
So would you agree that he had a leadership role at the house?
Yes.
Okay. And since his release from Safe P from, we'll say December 2020 till April, he was making his monthly check-ins and reports, correct?
Yes.
And he was also paying $70 for his probation fees, correct?
Yes.
And on April 16th, 2021, he passed his drug test, correct?
Yes.
And shortly after, May and June, there were no, he mailed his monthly report forms in with $70 payments, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and
Until,
then, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, you're right, until July.
Okay. Then in July, there was a note about him missing some meetings, correct?
Yes.
Some were excused, but others were not, correct?
Right.
Did he make you aware that he had COVID at the time?
Yes.
Okay. Did he make you aware of any other life events that happened during that time?
What do you mean?
Did he mention about his rape?
About his what, Mr. Seeloff?
Rape.
I'm sorry, I still am not understanding you. Did he mention about his what?
That he was raped?
Oh, okay.
Do you have a date?
It's gonna be from July through October. I'm not seeing it in your notes here. I'm just asking if you remember it.
I don't recall right now.
Okay. And on July,
What year was that?
well, I can't
I
testify.
think 2021 is what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And in July of 2021, did you receive a progress report from Ector County?
You have a date?
July 14th, 2021.
Okay.
And what did the report say?
My notes stated, received progress report from CSO Bryson with Ector County CSCD. Defendant reports as directed and has passed his drug test. He was discharged due to too many missed groups. Some were excused and some were not. But there is no way for him to make them up. CSO is placing the defendant on a regular caseload at this at this time, and he will be referred to a new counseling facility to do groups and individual sessions. We will forward that info once he gets that started.
Okay. But in October, his sober living house was closed, correct? And that's on December 22nd, or excuse me, October 22nd, 2021.
Yes,
So he had to find a new home.
yes,
So looking through the record, it looked like Mr. Brooks had trouble trying to find a new place of living.
yes.
He went from one place to another.
Well, he wanted to get into a sober living home and he was waiting on that.
But throughout this time, you were in some contact with the defendant, correct? Can you say that one more time?
I didn't say anything.
You were in contact with him during these moves, though, correct? One way or the other?
By phone, yes.
Okay. And on March, I mean, it looks like from your notes, he had some issues finding a new home. As he previously testified, on March 7th, he called and said he was robbed and beaten up in the shelters he stayed at, correct?
What date do you have?
March 7th, 2022.
Yes.
And to your knowledge, on these other allegations, pulling them up right now. This falsification case is still going on, correct? There's no final decision in that, correct? It's still an open case?
I'm not sure.
And with the criminal trespass, that's still an open case, correct?
I'm not sure.
And as previously stated, you received an email from our office about him getting admitted to a new treatment facility, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. And were you made aware of that before the court appearance on March 8th?
no. I received it afterwards.
But you were made aware of him being accepted beforehand, though, correct?
I
Not
don't,
just about him getting admitted to a new facility.
I don't recall.
And on December 8th, he did report for a face-to-face of 2022. He did report for a face-to-face visit, correct?
What date?
December 8th, 2022, page 2.
Okay,
So is that a yes?
yes, he did report.
Okay. And he reported via web or at court as directed until current day, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I have no further questions for this witness.
Do you have any additional questions, Ms. Anchondo?
I do, Judge. So going back through the violations briefly, Ms. Contreras, we're not alleging that he's been convicted of the falsification of drug tests, just that he committed the offense. Is that right?
Right.
And he admitted that to you.
Yes,
That occurred in your office.
correct.
Okay. And then the failure to report, you acknowledge that sometimes he will report. Is that right?
Right, but in his condition, it states that he has to mail a report form or check in electronically, and it's not by phone.
Okay. And you didn't allege that December 2022, he didn't report, right?
No,
Okay. He'll go 6 months. I think you noted 6 months at a time without reporting.
Judge, can I have a ruling on my objection, please?
I'm
don't
sorry, I
know-
didn't hear you object, Mr. Seeloff. What did you object to?
I objected to her questions as leading when referring to what the allegations are in the motion to adjudicate.
Ms.
Well,
Anchondo, can you rephrase your question to not be leading?
Did you allege December 2022 as a non-report?
no,
Okay. And so previously, did you testify that he went at 1.6 months without reporting?
yes,
And so is that the issue here? One of the issues is that he hasn't been reporting?
yes,
And did you indicate to him that if he didn't live in the county or was not staying in the county that he said he was in, nobody's supervising him?
correct,
We don't know what he was doing during that period of time.
right,
You acknowledge that he did well right after being released from Safe P and the treatment. Is that right?
yes,
And then after that is where he had problems.
Correct.
This was his second opportunity to be on probation, correct?
yes,
He was already on probation for 5621.
yes,
Okay. That's why he was offered Safe P right away.
yes,
What Safe P was the second chance.
yes,
And that was after he had not reported and was not in compliance in 5621.
yes,
All right. So with the issues that Mr. Seeloff asked you about, let me go ahead and characterize them as what I read them in the chronos. The rape that he was referring to, he made you aware of that December of 2019, December 17th of 2019, right?
yes,
He said that he had gotten a civil attorney related to him being sexually assaulted.
yes,
This was him prior going to Safe P,
yes,
right? Then
Yes.
he was not able to go to the meetings during one treatment program because of medical issues, right?
yes,
He had missed 15 times, or he needed to catch up with 15 meetings,
yes,
and they determined that was too many and he was rejected from that, right? Then he had COVID and couldn't go to the other facility.
to the counseling,
Yes, to the counseling, I'm sorry, the intensive outpatient counseling.
yes,
Then he was getting beat up in the shelters and robbed.
yes,
Then he'd gotten into an argument with an ex-boyfriend, and that's why he didn't have anywhere to live.
Yes.
Then it was he swallowed a rock of meth because he had gotten into an argument with a boyfriend.
Yes.
So he has, and all of these issues are according to him, correct?
Yes.
All right. So in all of this information and these issues, he's either got really bad luck or he's just not in compliance.
Right.
Then he goes to the compliance hearing with the judge in September of last year. Is that right?
Yes.
And then continues to use and then falsifies the drug test, right?
Yes.
Judge, I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Seeloff, do you have any questions?
Yes. Ms. Contreras, from 2020 to 2021, that's when the coronavirus pandemic was happening, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and so that affected hours at places like your office and also with treatment, correct?
Affected hours?
Yes. Did you allow in-person visits?
No.
Okay. Judge, I have no further questions for this witness.
Anything further, Ms. Anchondo?
No, Judge.
I have one question, Ms. Contreras.
Yes.
Were there any drug tests on Mr. Brooks after October of 2022?
No.
All
He's
right,
only reported, oh, listen.
beg your pardon?
I'm
He
sorry, I
only,
didn't hear that.
he only reported one time to our office, and that was in December, but no drug test has been done.
So he didn't report after December?
Correct. He's checked in online, but he has not checked in with this office because he stated he was living in Borger, or he wasn't living here until recently.
Did you give him permission to not report after December?
If he was living in Borger, he was gonna stay in Borger and checked in online, and then he did report in March, I'm sorry, of 23 online that he was back in Dumas.
All right, thank you, Ms. Contreras. You may be excused.
Thank you.
Well, if she can just stay in the hearing, Judge.
Oh, please, yes.
Okay.
Ms. Anchondo, will you call your next witness?
Yes, I call Officer Funk.
Dan, can I ask you to trade places with Mr. Brooks?
Yeah.
Just get a little closer to the screen, please. Thank you. Officer Funk, could you please unmute yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you Coleman Funk?
Yes, ma'am.
Please raise your right hand and be sworn. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Thank you. You can put your hand down.
Can you state your full name, please?
Coleman Bartley Funk?
Okay, and Officer Funk, are you familiar with an individual named Kenneth Brooks?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, did you on April 7th of 2022 come into contact with Kenneth Brooks?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And I want to just be brief with this. Essentially, were you called out to 114 Oak?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
All right. And do you have, what was the reason for you being called out there?
We were called out there for
in reference to a male subject that was inside of the house that was not allowed to be on the property.
Okay. Upon arriving at the house, did you make contact with the defendant, Kenneth Brooks?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And did he state why he was there?
Let me pull my report real quick.
Sure. Did he indicate, does it sound fair to say that he was there to see if somebody named Andy was there?
Yes, I do recall him asking me or informing me that he was there to see a subject named Andy Santos.
Okay. Did you run the names of Andy Santos and Kenneth Brooks to see if there was an active criminal trespass?
I ran Kenneth Brooks through there and did get a criminal trespass for him.
Okay. For that property?
Yeah.
And so was he subsequently charged for committing the offense of criminal trespass on April 7th of 2022?
Yes, ma'am, he was.
Okay. And that was obviously in Moore County, Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge, I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Seeloff, do you have any questions?
Yes, Your Honor. Officer Funk, Mr. Brooks claimed to you that he didn't own that house, correct?
What was the question? I didn't hear you.
He told you that he was there to help a friend, correct?
He said that he came to see a friend, correct?
Okay, and that was presumably Andy Santos, correct?
Yes.
And was he helping him move his things out of his house, correct?
I cannot testify that he was. He didn't have anything with him whenever, besides his own personal property on him.
Well, you can look through your report, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because I'm just going off of your report right now. And Mr. Brooks is being compliant with you, correct?
Yes, he was compliant the whole time.
Okay, and he answered all your questions?
Yes, Mr. Brooks did answer my questions and stuff while I was on scene.
And he told you that he was coming to see if Andy was here, correct?
Yes, he said that he was coming to see Andy.
Okay. So he didn't know about any criminal trespass warnings, did he?
Judge, I don't object to that speculation. He's not going to know whether he knew or didn't know.
I'll sustain that.
What was the question again?
You don't have to answer it, sir.
I have no further questions of this witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Anchondo, do you have any questions?
Briefly, Officer Funk, the homeowner was a Reina Santos. Is that right? It's been almost a year. I don't know why you don't remember.
Reno Santos is the one who called us. She was not on scene. From what I recall, she was the executor of that state.
Okay. And you made a notation in your report that she advised you there was a criminal trespass warning for both Andy Santos and Brooks.
Yes.
And you confirmed that criminal trespass with dispatch?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so she is the one that actually said she wanted to, you actually called to see if she wanted to issue a criminal trespass warning, and she's the one that indicated there was already one in existence.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's why he was subsequently charged with criminal trespass.
Yes, ma'am.
Pass the witness.
Mr. Officer Funk, I have one question. Do you have anything in your file showing that Mr. Brooks was served with a copy of that no trespass warning?
I do not, ma'am. I just contacted dispatch and then found out that he did already have a criminal trespass at that residence.
Thank you. Any further questions from defense or prosecution?
No, Your Honor.
No,
Right,
Judge.
Officer Funk, you may be excused. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Sanchando, do you have any other witnesses?
No other witnesses, but I do ask the court to take judicial notice in 5621. There's an order continuing defendant on deferred community supervision that modifies him to go to Safe P, and that the court found that he failed to report December 8, 2018, January 2019, and February of 2019.
The court will take note of that order.
And Judge, we rest.
Mr. Seeloff, you may call your first witness.
Yes, Your Honor, I'd like to call Mr. Brooks to the stand.
All right, Mr. Brooks, go ahead.
Dan, can you ask Mr. Brooks maybe to switch places with his mother just to get him a little closer so we can hear him?
Mr. Brooks,
Thank you.
speak loudly. So go ahead and move in front of the table. Yep. There you go. Look at me when we're talking.
Mr. Brooks, would you raise your right hand and be sworn? And face me, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God?
Yes.
And please always continue to face the camera, face the screen, and don't look away, okay?
All right, Mr. Seeloff, please proceed.
Sir, can you state your name for the record?
Kenneth Brooks?
And Mr. Brooks, when did you, are you the same Kenneth Brooks that was placed on probation in 2 different counts?
Yes,
When did you start probation, Kenneth?
that was 2018.
Okay, and then you did more probation in 2019, is that correct?
Correct. I was placed on 5 years deferred, ran concurrent with the 10 years I was already on.
Okay. And this is for, did you agree to do safety?
I did.
Okay. Did you complete safety?
I did.
How did you, if you could briefly tell the court, how was the safety experience?
Well, it really wasn't, I mean, much of Safe P because COVID had hit. And we did maybe a month and a half of actually Safe P programming. And then when COVID hit, was transferred from the unit that we were at in Richardson, Texas, to another unit, and then right after that, transferred to another unit. Altogether, we were transferred to 4 different units because of COVID. So it was long. It was, I mean, but there were, as far as actual programming and doing the safety program, we didn't really do any at all. After COVID hit, they shut them down, and each
Let me
unit.
stop you there, Mr. Brooks. What do you mean they shut them down?
They completely shut the units down. The first unit I was at, they completely had to transfer every inmate out of there to a different unit because of COVID.
Okay, so did you complete any treatment programs or anything like that while you're at the first unit?
I mean, as much as no, not really.
But you tried to do everything you could at these units.
No, yes, definitely. I did everything that was asked of me.
Okay, and you eventually went to 4 different units, is that correct?
Correct.
Where did you end? What was your last unit? Do you remember that?
East Texas Treatment Facility in East Texas.
Okay, And did you successfully complete safety?
Yes.
Approximately when did you complete safety?
It was October of 2020.
Okay, where did you go after safety?
The halfway house in Odessa, Texas, the Clover House.
Okay, did you have a job there as well?
Yes, I got employed while I was at the halfway house at a steakhouse.
And how did you do at the sober livings?
Did great. I finished my 3 months in this halfway house, and then after that, went into a sober living house, which was the Oxford House. Did great. I was the president of the house. Did awesome. It was an enjoyable experience. I mean, I enjoyed my sobriety, and I mean, it was a good time. I mean, I enjoyed it.
And did you report to probation as directed?
Yes,
Did you pay as much as you could as directed?
yes.
Okay. Then let's talk about, did you have medical issues in 2021?
I did.
Can you describe some of those?
I've been on mental because I was diagnosed with PTSD and borderline personality disorder. So and then also I had COVID. Got COVID and got sick. I was sick for a month or so. I also had some traumatic things that happened to me.
What happened?
I was staying at a shelter after the Oxford House shut down.
So I'm gonna interrupt you here because we're gonna lead into this, okay? So you did well, then you had medical issues.
Correct.
Okay. And then I would say around, let's see here. There are some reports that you did not check into some of the groups. Did you check in with the groups as directed, or did you not?
Yes, I had some medical issues with COVID and also my epilepsy, having seizures.
Did you report to the group?
Yes.
Groups? Did you send medical documentation as
I did.
requested?
I did. There was also some weather related issues. There was a big snowstorm, ice storm up there in Odessa at the time, you know, and I wasn't able to make two of those meetings. But the meetings, each day there was 4 meetings, so it was 4 hours of meetings each day. So if you missed one day, that was 4 meetings that you missed.
Okay. Then, did you face any other life-altering events during 2021?
I did.
What did you face?
I was raped.
Can you detail that to the court?
After the Oxford House had closed down, they shut down. I didn't have no other place to go, and I couldn't come back here to Moore County because probation had advised me not to. So I was staying at the shelters and different, you know, from Midland and Odessa, and you had to be at the Salvation Army shelter. You had to be there by 10 o'clock at night, and I didn't make it there in time. And
When was this?
that was in 2021.
Okay.
So I had my backpack and my stuff with me, and I'd seen, because it was right off the highway, some other homeless people, you know, I kind of slept underneath the bridge. So I made me a comfortable spot underneath the bridge and you know, the best I could till morning, and went to sleep. And then I woke up to 3 guys, you know, with the gun at gunpoint, and they raped me, took advantage of me, and then when that was
Okay.
yeah,
So let's stop there.
sorry,
So you stayed at the Salvation Army, is that correct?
correct,
Around approximately late 2021,
correct,
after your house closed. Okay, and then you didn't make it to the Salvation Army by 10 one day, is that correct?
correct.
And then you slept under a bridge. What bridge did you sleep under? Do you remember the bridge's name?
No, I know it was a highway, because I think it was Highway 40 or something like that.
And where's that located?
That's in Odessa.
Okay. And you did you set up shelter for the night?
Yes,
And then these other men came and then they raped you, is that correct?
correct.
Did you let probation know about this incident that happened in 2020?
I did. When I spoke to Audrey the next time, I told her what had happened, and that I needed to come back to Moore County, or because that was the only place I had to go was to my parents. And she advised me not to come back to Moore County because Moore County would be bad for me, for me to, find somewhere else.
But she was just worried about you relapsing,
Yes,
is that
yes,
correct?
absolutely.
So she had good intent.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So you were stuck between, would you say you were stuck between a rock and a hard place?
I was.
Okay. So then we go to 2022. Do you try to contact, are you in some form of contact with probation throughout the year?
Yes, yes.
What do you try to do?
I contacted Audrey, because
How did you contact Audrey?
by phone.
Did you ever report by web?
I do believe so. I mean, she told me Case Connect to report on through Case Connect, or my mail in my report forms by mail, and I did that as well. I did miss a few months there by mailing them in or what have you, but I spoke to her every month. Anytime I switched shelters or went to a different location or anything, I would call her and tell her.
Okay.
Dan, would you move back into the view of the camera, please?
Oh, yes. Sorry about that. So when do you move in with, tell us about your living situation in 2022. Where do you live?
Okay, in 2022, I was staying in Andrews, but I moved back here to Moore County because I had nowhere else to go, and all
Who
the
did you
place,
live with?
my mother,
Okay,
my parents.
okay. And then do you try to move somewhere else?
We were trying to keep me out of Moore County because it was just bad, for the fear of relapsing. So I tried to get to Hutchinson County to my.
Okay, so you go to Hutchinson County.
Mhm.
What happens in Hutchinson County?
The probation couldn't confirm on my address because it's a low income where my boyfriend and them live. It's a low income complex, so I was on the lease.
Could you have tried to get on the lease?
I could have tried, but before I knew that that's what I needed to do, they had already sent it back over here.
Okay. Did you tell your boyfriend to call probation of where you were living?
I do believe he did.
Okay. So then then Hutchinson County happened. When do you move back to Moore County again?
Shortly thereafter, because Audrey told me that Hutchinson County had denied my probation over there, so I needed to get back to Moore County. So,
But you make it back to Moore County.
yes,
Okay. So then you have an in-office visit with Audrey. Do you remember this approximately September timeframe?
yes.
What happened at that September office visit?
She just advised me of, that I needed to be in compliance, stay in Moore County, and a drug test.
Okay. You've already admitted to use of methamphetamine in September and October, is that correct?
Correct.
I believe those are C, D, and E on the allegations. And marijuana as well.
Correct.
Okay. Why did you relapse? What happened?
It was a lot of different variety of things. Just stress and being in the around it, or being old friends catching up, or just being in the environment of it. And
You had no certainty of where to live.
True.
Were you still upset about your house closing down?
Yes.
And you didn't know where your next paycheck was gonna be?
Correct.
Okay. So then tell me about this around this time frame, there's this allegation of falsification of a drug test. Tell me about that.
I went in to do the drug test. I did the drug test and it came up positive.
Did you try to falsify the results?
No,
There's something about in the notes that you tried to cleanse it. What is that about?
I'm not sure. I think I was having issues with bladder infections or so on and so forth. I had drank something to help with my bladder. You know,
What did you drink?
it was a detox to help you urinate, to help you.
So you're not trying to conceal anything, you're just trying to have use of your bladder function, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So you weren't trying to conceal anything,
No,
okay? Would that be why your urine may have looked like highlighter yellow than normal yellow?
it may have. I'm not
Okay.
sure. But I was.
I want to also talk about the allegation of criminal trespass. This happened around April 2022. Is Andy Santos one of the friends that you knew from Moore County?
Yes.
How long did you know Andy?
I've known Andy numerous years on and off.
Okay. And why did you go over to that house?
He had asked me to help him because his parents, his mom had passed away, and then the house had caught on fire, and he was nobody was helping him. He didn't have no help, and he was having a really rough time.
Okay.
And
So you go over there just to make sure. You go over there just to help him. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and tell me about the date that you met Officer Funk. What happened?
The day I met Officer Funk, I went over there to check on Andy. I had seen him walking toward the house, and he had left his phone at one of my relatives' house. We hadn't seen him for a week, so I went to go check on him.
You were wondering where Andy was.
Absolutely.
Okay. And you haven't heard from him.
Correct.
And you went there just to check on him.
Yes.
Were you aware of any criminal trespass notices of you from that house before you met him?
No.
Before you went over the house?
No.
Were you served with any criminal trespass notices?
No.
If you did receive a criminal trespass notice, would you have went over there?
No.
Did you see Andy Santos that day?
No. But by the time I got on the property, the officers were already there. So I got maybe 15, 20 feet on the property, and the officers were coming through the back gate.
Okay, and where did you try to enter the house from?
I never tried to enter the house. I just went into the backyard, and the officer was coming through the side gate as I was coming through the backyard.
Okay,
But it wasn't Funk, it was a different officer.
why did you go through the side gate and not knock on the front door?
Because Andy, when I seen Andy walking, he was walking up the alleyway, and so I just figured I'd follow him, and then I didn't see him in the alleyway, so I figured he went to his house.
Okay. So, do you believe you committed the offense of criminal trespass?
No.
Okay. And you've already admitted to the substance, use of controlled substances already,
Yes.
correct? Okay. You admitted to lack of payments on some months, is that correct?
Yes.
So, as of today, where do you live right now, Kenneth?
I'm living with my parents.
Okay. How long have you successfully been reporting to probation?
Successfully reporting since
Yes.
I've been back in Moore County.
Okay. Is that through web or in person?
Web and in person.
Okay. There were some notes that they had issues trying to call you. Why would that be? They said your phone wouldn't ring or something like that.
I'm not sure. They
Would
have,
that be because you might have missed a phone payment or something?
it could be,
Okay,
but they also have my mother's contact information.
okay. Mr. Brooks, let's go to present time now, okay? You were admitted into different houses, different drug treatment facilities, is that correct?
Correct.
When were you there's a detox facility that you were admitted to, do you remember that?
Yes.
What was that?
That is, it's a Dallas clinical detox, in Dallas, Texas.
Okay, I'm gonna have you look at something on my screen. I've already sent the district attorney and the court a copy of this email exchange. Do you recognize this email?
Yes.
Starting from, what is this email?
It is,
Judge, I want to object to this. This doesn't have anything to do with the violations that are alleged in the motion to adjudicate. It sounds like it's punishment evidence.
I don't have it in front of me, Mr. Seeloff. Is that correct?
It's an email that I sent to the 69th District Court's Gmail address, Your Honor.
Is it pertaining to punishment or these offenses?
I'll move on, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
So, Mr. Brooks, in summary, you've admitted to some of the offenses. You recognize your mistakes
correct.
and you deny the others. Is that correct? Judge, I have no further questions.
Do you have any questions, Ms. Anchondo?
I do, Judge. Mr. Brooks, you understand we're not alleging that you didn't successfully complete SafeP.
Okay.
You understand we're not alleging that you didn't complete what you were required to do at Clover House.
Okay.
You understand, really, we're not alleging anything related to the aftercare. You understand that?
Okay.
You understand that the violations are related to your continued drug use. You understand that?
So,
That one of the violations is the criminal trespass. You understand that?
Yes.
And then the falsification of the drug test. You understand that?
yes.
You said that you weren't trying to falsify the drug test that day, that the detox that you're on was supposed to help you urinate more. Is that right?
It's supposed to help with my urination yes.
Okay. But when you initially got to that office visit, you said that you could not urinate that day. Is that correct?
Right. And that's why I took the detox, was because I was having issues with,
Okay. So is it that you have just really bad luck, Mr. Brooks, or are you not complying with probation?
bad luck.
Okay. All of these are misunderstandings.
That answer.
I'm sorry.
I didn't get his answer. He needs to speak up.
Really bad luck.
So you agree with me that you were modified in your first probation for failing to report, right?
Correct.
And then you go to SafeP in both of these probation cases, right?
Right.
You said that you were having issues complying with probation or finishing classes because of one of the reasons is because of your mental diagnosis. Is that right?
The medical is yes.
But part of it is your PTSD, your bipolar. Is that right? You testified to that earlier?
Yeah, that was
Part of it?
issue. Yes.
Okay. But April 7th of 2020, you reported that you stopped taking your medication for those issues. Right?
I'm not sure.
Well, if Audrey noted that, do you dispute that?
I'm not sure of the dates or when. I mean,
But you did indicate to her that you had stopped taking that medication.
at one time, yes, the MHMR that I was receiving and who I was receiving through.
That's not my question. My question is, you did indicate to Audrey at some point that you decided you were going to stop taking that medication.
Right, I was having issues with how it was.
That answers my question. You decided to stop, and that's what you told Audrey, correct?
Right.
All right. Then we've got weather issues, you said, is one of the reasons why you couldn't go to class.
Right,
But everybody would have been experiencing weather issues if you were experiencing weather issues, right?
and everybody didn't show up to the meeting that I didn't, you know, I mean, it
So
wasn't.
you, hold on. So you're saying that they're counting against you something that everybody was experiencing that day, weather related?
Correct,
Okay. And then you've got the 2 rapes, one at the Moore County Jail and one in 2021. Is that right?
right,
You indicated to Audrey that the deal with the 2019 at the jail, you had gotten a lawyer, right?
right,
And then one of these sober living places shut down. Is that correct?
yes.
Now, you said that you've been successful ever since you came back to Moore County. When are you considering you have come back to Moore County to live?
I came back to Moore County. It was, I think it was June or July of 2022, 21. Sorry, I got my years confused.
Well, it couldn't have been 2021 because that's when you were supposed to be at Clover House. You mean June of 2022?
Correct,
Okay. But your criminal trespass case stems from April 7th of 2022, right?
yes,
So this is the time period where you weren't clear with Audrey about where you were actually living and which counties you were in, right?
this is in the transition of from after the Oxford House, yes,
Okay, and she tells you you can't be moving from county to county without telling us because nobody's supervising you, right?
correct,
And you agreed with Audrey that Moore County wasn't a good place for you to be in, correct?
correct,
It wasn't that she said you couldn't come back. You both decided that your likelihood of relapsing was pretty high if you came back to this area. Right?
right.
Now, I want to talk about Andy Santos. Andy Santos is also a convicted felon. Is that correct?
I'm not sure of his criminal history.
You know Andy Santos to use methamphetamine.
I don't recall. I
You don't recall.
I don't know if he does or not.
Okay.
He never has with me or in front of me.
You've never heard about Andy Santos using methamphetamine?
No.
That's new information to you?
Yes.
And then the ex-boyfriend that you were to be residing with in Hutchinson County, who is that?
Colton Yokel.
So the boyfriend that's here today,
Correct.
and that's who indicated to probation that you had gone back to live with your mom, right?
Yes.
So it wasn't that they were just looking at the lease agreement. He told them that you had gone back to Dumas to live with your mother, right?
From my understanding, I guess that's what it was.
Okay. So it wasn't that they were just looking at who was on the lease, right?
Okay.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, yes.
And then it was with Colton Yoakum that you swallowed the meth rock when you had an argument with him?
I wasn't with him, no. We got into a fight and I'd left and I'd swallowed the rock. Not with him, though.
After you had the argument with him?
Yes.
Okay. And when was that? While you were living with him?
Yeah, I was staying with him.
And that was before or after you broke up with him the first time?
And I don't understand the question, sorry.
Well, you referred to him as an ex-boyfriend at one point, right?
But he's my fiance, he's not my ex-boyfriend.
I'm talking about when you had the issues with the housing. There was a point in time where you were not living with him because you were broken up, right?
We had a separation period, yes.
Okay, and you were back in Dumas,
Yes,
and this is when Hutchinson County Probation was trying to verify where you lived.
yes,
Okay, and then you got back together with him.
correct.
And now, did you swallow meth rock the first time you were with him or after you got back together with him?
It was the first, when we got together and then we got into the big fight. And then, yes, I did the meth.
When you
first-
got back to, after you had gotten back together?
No, before we'd gotten back together.
Okay. Where do you live now?
With my parents.
And Mr. Brooks, I want to ask, you've been convicted of theft of property out of this county in December 1st of 2016, is that right?
Correct.
You were convicted of failure to identify or give false information March 8th of 2018 out of this county, is that right?
Correct.
You're convicted of theft of property January 9th of 2014 out of this county.
This should be for punishment hearing.
I can impeach with misdemeanor convictions so long as they're within 10 years, Judge.
I'll overrule the objection. Theft
Miss-
January 9th.
January 9th of 2014, you were convicted of theft, is that right?
Okay, correct.
You're convicted of theft of property on October 24th of 2018 in this county, is that right?
Correct.
Judge, I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Seeloff, do you have any further questions?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Brook, let's talk about your medications. Why did you go off your medications?
I was having adverse reactions and I didn't like how it was making me feel. And so
How did it make you feel?
I was very temperamental. I was having nightmares and it made me feel like I was a zombie.
Okay, and how long did you take those medications?
For a while, I took those medications. Well, because when you're in safety or when you're locked up, they give you a whole different set of medications. And whenever I got out, they started me on a whole different set of medications for the same, disorders.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
And are you still on those medications today?
No,
What medications do you take today?
I take my Biktarvy.
Judge, I
for
don't
my-
want to object to the relevance of this, what his current medications are. It doesn't have anything to do with whether he violated the probation terms as alleged or not.
It's relevant to whether he was following probation rules or not, Judge, and following the safety rules, so it is relevant.
But we're not alleging that he's not in compliance with safety.
So does this have to do with safety, Mr. Seeloff, or with why he wasn't reporting?
Why he wasn't reporting,
Then I'll allow him to answer that question.
briefly answer that question.
I take Biktarvy for my HIV.
Okay. And let's see here. Judge, I have no further questions for Mr. Brooks.
Anything further from the state?
No, Judge.
All right, Mr. Brooks, you may be excused as a witness. Mr. Seeloff, do you have any additional witnesses?
Just one, Your Honor. His mother, Mrs. Hardwick.
Would
Right.
you trade place, Mr. Brooks, please? Please raise your right hand and be sworn. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You can put your hand down. Please speak up, man.
Okay.
Ma'am, can you please state your name for the record?
Nelda Hardwick?
And do you know the defendant in this case today?
Yes,
Can you point to him right now?
yes, he's my son.
What's his name?
Kenneth Marshall Ray Brooks.
Okay. And were you aware that Kenneth was placed on probation?
Yes,
And were you aware that he went to safety in 2019?
yes,
And were you aware his halfway sober living house was closed? Were you made aware of that?
yes,
Okay. Did he ask you to live? Did he ask permission to live with you again?
yes.
Can you briefly describe those events to the court?
Judge,
Yes,
I want to object to this line of questioning as well. It's not relevant. We're not alleging anything related to the sober living facility or why he was there or not there.
It deals with reporting of him not showing up, though, Your Honor.
Well, then I just ask that the questions be limited to that.
Mr. Seeloff, that's fair. If you would just ask her to limit her answers to why he didn't report.
Okay. I was in 2022, there's allegations that he did not report to probation. Were you made aware? Was Kenneth having difficulty finding a home?
yes, he had called me and was upset and said, Mom, I don't know what else to do. I told him, well, then maybe you ought to come home. Because he didn't have no place to stay. He was staying, like he said, he had to stay under a,
Judge, I
Oh.
want to object to this again. Maybe take the witness on board dire to clarify what time period we're talking about.
Yes, you may.
Ma'am, can you let the court know and also myself, what time period are you talking about? Which month specifically are you testifying about?
oh gosh, I don't know what, I can't specifically say what month. That's too far back. It was after he had been raped and my son had called me and he was.
Okay, well,
really-
hold on. So what month in 2022 or what time period are we talking about?
May,
May?
April or May, when he was
Okay.
raped.
All right. Then Judge asked her testimony to just be limited to April or May of 2022.
Mr. Seeloff, I'll grant that request.
For the purpose of the hearing now, Your Honor, I don't have any further questions for this witness.
Do you have any questions, Ms. Anchondo?
No, Judge.
Right, Ms. Hardwick, you may be excused at this time. And I'm going to ask the attorneys, it's 12:20. But do either of you have any more witnesses on the violation on the guilt?
No, Judge.
There. Do you, Mr. Seeloff?
No, Your Honor.
All right, well then I will state, Mr. Brooks, I find you guilty of, I find that you have violated the terms and conditions of your probation. Let me get to those documents. You know, the offense of criminal trespass is potentially problematic because I didn't hear any proof that you'd been served with it. However, I'm also going to note that you were clearly here on April 7th, regardless of whether or not you were trespassing, and yet you're telling your probation officer that you still live in, I've forgotten which county, a different county. So I'm also not buying you admitted to your probation officer that you falsified or that you took a substance to attempt to cleanse your urine for your drug test. I find my probation officer more credible than you saying at this time, no, you didn't. You have admitted to the offenses of using meth and marijuana. You know, you clearly failed to report on some dates. I don't think that you may or may not have had excuses, but there are plenty of other violations. So again, I do find that you have violated the terms and conditions of your probation. I will accept the plea of guilty that you made on the offenses in case number 5621 and 5832. I will adjudicate you guilty of both of those offenses. We will now move to the punishment phase. Attorneys, do we want to go forward with that now or take a brief lunch break?
Judge, that's up to you. I do have witnesses on the next case that we probably need to maybe let them know that they can come back, that were scheduled also for 10:30. If I can get some, maybe a break for them so that they can return at a different time.
We have two more cases at 10:30 and I have a case at 1:30 that's a civil case, and then we have Miss San Miguel at 2 o'clock.
On Jacob's case, I believe we have an agreement on him. I just need him to plead true to certain allegations, and then he'll be continued, is my understanding from Mr. Seeloff. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, so were we just down to Watson? On Watson, I've got the lab personnel and then some officers that are also waiting, in addition to Audrey, who's on this one as well.
Do we know anything about Miss San Miguel at 2 o'clock?
That'll be.
Have any witnesses for her, Miss Sanchondo? That
I do. I don't have the list in front of me, Judge. But she's also somebody that's got allegations of other offenses.
I'm just wondering if we should also, let's take a 30-minute lunch break. Let's come back at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
And then we'll finish Mr. Brooks. Well, you don't know, Mr. Ackenham can wait, and then we'll begin with Miss Watson.
Okay, and that will be, Watson is out on bond, Judge. San Miguel, my understanding, she's still in custody. So we'll know where she's at.
I'm wondering if I'll just throw this out. If y'all want to continue Miss San Miguel to a different day.
I'm okay with that.
I'm fine with that, Judge. We've got time to let these guys know.
Okay. Okay, during lunch, I'll ask Jackie to see if there's a different date. All right, if there's nothing further, then I'll see everyone at 1 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you.
Going to notify your witnesses that are in the waiting room, or do you want me to do that?
Well, can you let them in real quick so I can let them know what's going on? And then also the defendant will need to be told to come back. Can everybody hear me?
They're probably still joining.
Okay, I'm trying to see.
Ross Havens is still trying to join with audio. We could probably reach out to him by phone though.
Okay, yeah, if everybody can log back in at 1 o'clock. Except Miguel, you're excused for the day. Okay, thank you.
Now I'm guessing this is more.
Ross Havens is from the lab. We'll just call him by phone.
Okay, but this jail, is this Moore County Jail, I'm assuming?
Probably.
Okay. Dan can let
San
his
Miguel
client know.
and Jacob is for this morning as well, that we're not going to get to.
Okay. I'll call the jail and let them know. You'll call everybody else. Everybody
Yes,
understand we're recess. You're going to have to actually log back in. I'm going to end this hearing. Okay,